Live on YouTube.
Okay, I think, no, go back, layout, side by side. Okay, so what do you guys see? Because I tried this earlier. You see both my face and the screen I'm sharing, right? Fantastic. Okay. Can I get started? All right, fantastic. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on which part of the world you're joining us from. Welcome to the special event hosted by the International Astronomical Union's Office of Astronomy for Development. I am Dr. Joyful Mdluli, and I will be your host for today. So I do apologize in advance if I just get cut off. I'm having internet issues. So today we mark the World Science Day for Peace and Development, a moment to reflect on how the power of science to build peaceful, thriving societies. So this year's theme is actually Trust, Transformation, and Tomorrow, the science we need for 2050. So the theme basically invites us to think beyond the immediate and ask questions like what kind of science and what kind of relationship between science and society do we want to see in the decades ahead of us? At the OAD, we believe that science connects directly with people's lives, especially at the grassroots levels. It opens up pathways for transformation, for building trust, and also for shaping a more hopeful tomorrow. So today's session, which is titled Science in Action, Grassroots Development with Astronomy, is about exploring how this happens in practice. So we are joined by three remarkable change makers from India, St. Lucia, and South Africa, and they will share how they are using science, especially astronomy, to empower communities, overcome local challenges, as well as build resilience. So before we get started with our conversation, I'd like to open today's event with a few reflections from the OAD side, where basically the OAD works at the intersection of science and society, and we use astronomy as a tool to advance the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And our mission is to ensure that the wonder and inspiration of astronomy contributes meaningfully to human and societal progress, especially in communities where opportunities for science engagements are very limited. So to start off with today's session, I'd like to invite the IAU President, Professor Willie Benz, to give us open remarks before we get started. So I'll just stop sharing so we can see Professor Willie Benz.
Well, hello everyone. Can you hear me, I hope? On the occasion of this World Day for Peace and Development that we actually celebrate always on November 10, I'm very pleased to bring to you the greetings from the International Astronomical Union. You may remember that in 2019, the IAU celebrated its 100th birthday under the theme Under One Sky. And the name of this theme was not chosen by chance. It was aimed to emphasize the unifying power of astronomy. We all looked up at the night sky in wonder, marveling at its beauty and wondering how it came to be and how we fit in this grand scheme of things. And these are thoughts, amazingly, that we all share, regardless of our culture, education, or background. So the IAU tries to unite professional astronomers from across the globe, enabling them to share new ideas and observation as they work together to advance scientific understanding. However, the IAU is not just for professional astronomers. Through its offices of astronomy for development, for outreach, for education, and for the young astronomers, the IAU is using this unique power of astronomy to inspire people, reaching school children and the general public worldwide. I think in what follows, we will have an exploration of how astronomy can drive positive change and lead to community development. And obviously, as usual, there are barriers and there are difficulties. And I hope that this discussion will help to find solutions or at least point towards them to enable science to serve society even better. I would like to end by thanking you all for making peace and development one of your priorities and for joining this IAU event. I wish you an excellent and exciting meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Benz. And it is very heartwarming that the IAU supports development as well as invests in using astronomy just beyond the research and the exploration of the universe. We were hoping that we would also get a message from the director, Kevin Govender, but unfortunately, because we're celebrating SALT turning 20 here in Sutherland, he could not make it. So instead, Charles Takalana recorded a message also in commemoration of this day that I will play now because he's also attending the same event. So I'll just, oh, I wonder is this full screen? No, it's not full screen. Okay. Because I don't see what everyone sees now. Let's see. Let me first stop sharing. Um, okay, so now how do I make it share?
Do you want me to try and share?
Yeah, if you can, but I mean, there's just this little guy at the top that is just there that I can't make go away. Yeah, please share if you can. Has it made it to you?
Okay, I'm going to share now.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Charles Takalana. I am the Deputy Director at the Office of Astronomy for Development, which is under the International Astronomical Union. We are very excited that you could join us for this webinar where we're going to be talking about, the World Science Day on Peace for Development. As the OAD, this is what we are all about, trying to use the science of astronomy to make the world a better place. When the International Astronomical Union, came up with the Office of Astronomy for Development, it was very intentional. It was not, just about having, an office that looks at, implementing projects, but it was about how us as scientists, as astronomers, can be, better citizens and better neighbors, to the people that we interact with. How could we, contribute to making, the world a much better place for everyone, not just for today, but also for the future. The International Astronomical Union has its annual call for proposals, where anyone, whether you're a scientist or not, can submit a proposal that looks at how we can use the science of astronomy to make the world a better place. And very excited that you're going to be able to hear from some of the projects that we've supported over the years. So you can just see how, science and astronomy can actually contribute, in a positive way, in a way that we can have impact and in a way that, we can touch lives. As scientists, we are not just, scientists exploring the universe, but we are people first. And that is what's very important. So thank you so much, and we hope that you enjoyed.
Thank you, Charles. Actually, Charles is also connected, so fantastic. Thank you very much for your message, Charles. So yeah, I think these messages basically remind us of the heart of today's conversation, which is that science and astronomy in particular is not just about knowledge and technology, but also about people. It's about curiosity, it's about connection, and also how the pursuit of understanding can transform lives and communities beyond just astronomy. So basically, to build on this, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. I will give you a bit more context about the OAD. Basically, I've tried to summarize the work of the OAD into a single slide, which I feel like is impossible. But to save time and not have to sit here all day, I've tried to capture as much as I can into a single slide. So basically, the key thing that we have at the OED is our regional offices. So the OED established 11 regional offices and language centers of astronomy for development around the world to improve local understanding of how astronomy can address community-specific challenges, realize its potential impact, as well as amplify its contribution to development. So again, because we're based in South Africa, it's impossible for us to be able to engage with all of the communities from around the world. And these regional offices act as points of contact for us in different parts of the world. And then another key thing that we have at the OED OAD, and this is something that Charles mentioned in his previous message, is the annual call for proposals. So every year, the OAD conducts a call for proposals in which individuals and organizations anywhere in the world are invited to propose projects that use astronomy to address a problem or challenge related to development. So to date, we have supported 236 projects in 112 countries, reached 2 million people, and invested 1.4 million euros into it. And we've successfully implemented 13 calls for proposal and received over 1,500 proposals altogether. So again, you can see the ratio of the projects we've supported compared to the number of proposals we've received. And it shows that there is a lot of people out there who want to use astronomy as a tool to make change within the communities. But because we're very limited to how many projects we can support in a year, we've had to reject some projects as well as also just endorse certain projects because we couldn't support them. And then from the annual call for proposals and the proposals that we've received over the years, we eventually came to a point where we tried to find key themes that kept popping up. And from that, we have 3 key flagship projects within the OAD. So one looks at astrotourism for development, where we harness the synergy between astronomy and tourism to promote socio-economic growth in rural areas, empowering communities through their natural dark skies and cultural heritage. And a good example of this is actually Sutherland, where we are right now, where we've had many people visit Sutherland this weekend in order for us to celebrate SALT turning 20. So this is one of the ways in which you can incorporate astronomy with tourism in order to boost both the local economy of the communities that host this large infrastructure, as well as also having stargazing in the evenings where they make access of the natural dark skies and also share the cultural heritage as well. So the second flagship project looks at astronomy for mental health, where we aim to use the inspirational power of astronomy to support mental well-being, aiming to help individuals and communities reach their full potential. And then the third flagship project is astronomy for skills development, which is focused on both the development of skills through astronomy as well as the application towards sustainable development challenges. And just to mention, today is actually the deadline for the Hack for Dev organizers hackathon call. So if you or people within your community are interested in hosting hackathons through the Hack for Dev initiative, please feel free to visit our website, and then you can get more detailed information about how people can register to be part of the organizers hackathon. So then just to add on to that, so this is basically a map showing where the projects that we've supported are located around the globe. So like I said, we've supported 236 projects. So each pin here represents all of the projects we've supported. But also if you see the orange dots also then show the regional offices where they're located. And today we'll be hearing from 3 of our projects for 2025. So one is from South Africa, another is from India, and then another is from St. Lucia. And then lastly, we speak about development. So the UN Sustainable Development Goals have basically guided us in terms of which projects to support, but also what we do aligns with development in terms of global movement. So these are some of the projects that are linked to some of the Sustainable Development Goals. And to date, we've actually addressed 13 of the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals through our projects as well as our flagship projects within the OAD. So I guess the next thing to do now is to basically hand over to me again to give you a summary of introduce our panelists for today. So their full bios are available on our website. So maybe Ram, if you could just drop a link to the website so people can read a bit more about our panelists. I will just give a summary for each. So the first speaker is Cheyenne Polius from St. Lucia. So Cheyenne is the founder of Lunar Journeys, which is a social enterprise training young people in St. Lucia to become astronomy tour guides. With a background in astrophysics from the UK, she is pioneering astrotourism in the Caribbean and connecting local communities to the global space sector. And then our second panelist is Anupama Prida Pen from India. So Anupama is an educator and science communicator who leads the CSTERC Women Astropreneurs Collective, which is an OAD-supported initiative that empowers first-generation women graduates through astronomy-based entrepreneurship. So her work promotes inclusive participatory science learning across India. And then our third and last panelist is Wilma De Souza, who's from South Africa. So Wilma works with USICO's Rite of Passage program, which helps young people discover identity and purpose through wilderness therapy, education, and mentoring. So she has a background in leadership development and fundraising and brings extensive experience in building capacity across nonprofit and corporate sectors. So I think you've heard enough from me, and I would like to hand over to our panelists and give them an opportunity to share. So we will start with the way in the order in which I introduce the panelists, which will be Cheyenne, and then Anupama, and then Wilma. I know that you guys have a lot to share about your projects, but I would just like to start off by giving you 5 minutes to just give us a background of your initiatives, and then we will take it from there. So I'd just like to hand over to everyone now, and yeah, tell us more about your projects. Cheyenne.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the introduction, Joy. This project was a stargazing training program. So like Joy mentioned, it was all about training St. Lucians, local St. Lucians, to be able to lead their own stargazing experiences. And that came from the need of, through Lunar Journeys, which has been around since 2018, we've been growing our community of people who have been interested in astronomy and interested in stargazing, but not meeting very many people who are actually amateur astronomers who have their own telescopes who go out and stargaze on their own. We have found a couple of really great astronomers who have been stargazing for decades, and they've been very excited to be able to share that knowledge. So this training program was a formal way for them to be able to do that. And in that, we got 12 trainees who went through this extensive, like 6 weeks of training. So the program was structured in a way where we had virtual content to start with, so more of the theoretical side of, the different types of objects that we can see in the universe, the techniques for stargazing, things like light pollution, and because we made it completely open to beginners, like no knowledge necessary, because like I said, we couldn't find people who already at that base level. So we had it open to anyone regardless of their educational background. And that was such a beautiful experience because you found so many people in different walks of life who are all interested in astronomy. And I was talking just earlier about the fact that it just connects everyone. So this training program was definitely a testament to that. So we got 12 trainees and they went through the virtual training, and they also went through in-person practical sessions where they got to use the telescopes. And for the end of that 6 weeks, they had to put together an event proposal. So it was all tailored to designing and executing your own stargazing experiences. So we didn't just limit it to learning about stargazing or learning how to use a telescope. It was actually putting together an event from start to finish. How would you greet your guests? How would you transition into the telescope? How you do the storytelling? What elements would you add into it? And then after that, they all had to execute those events that they put the proposals in for. So between September and October, they did their first events, and they were absolutely massive success. Like the response that they got from the participants who were able to come along to their events was overwhelmingly positive. There's so much need for this in St. Lucia and in the Caribbean region. Like I said, we have so many people who are interested and just don't have the avenues to be able to explore that curiosity and explore that interest. So right now the trainees are going through what was an extended certification period where they just have to keep running events and keep coming to practical sessions to keep on improving their skills. And that's going to go up until March, just to give them time to really master the skill and be able to get comfortable with running their own events and continue to run their own events with Lunar Journeys and be able to generate an income from that. And that was something that was very important to me because coming into astrotourism, the Caribbean is a tourism hub. Everybody loves to come to our lovely islands and our beaches and the palm trees and everything, but a lot of it can be international chains, international companies, and a lot of the profit can go back outside of the island. So it was very important to me that this initiative, while being in the tourism space in the sense of being able to host events for tourists and for locals alike, being able to add to our offering as an island, I wanted to also benefit local people directly on the island. So them being able to host their events and generate an income from that was a priority for me. I do have a video that's like 2 minutes long. Is this the time to share that? Just a recap training video? Or is that going to come later on in the...
I think you can share it now.
Okay. Can everybody see a Lunar Journeys logo? I can't see anyone, so I need like an audible, like, yes.
Yeah, we can see it. Maybe just start playing so we can see if it's audible. Yeah, there's audio too.
Tonight, I saw my favorite girl, the moon. It was amazing. Through binoculars, through an 8-inch telescope, it was no, it's just you have to experience it to get it.
Joy, the chill you're feeling. What I enjoy the most is when you can see the moon, all the craters on the moon, like you actually on the moon. It's I don't know, it's amazing. I'm so happy, you know.
That
So
was
that was
just
sorry. I was saying that
that
was
was just so beautiful.
I know I was
Like,
getting emotional over again, like I wasn't there. But that was the recap of the training. We brought together the astronomy. We had modules on storytelling, event management, and customer service. Because, like I said, it was kind of to bring together that complete event curation experience. And yeah, honestly, it went really well. So happy to get into it more as we go through this panel.
yeah, it's just especially seeing the smiles on every single one of the people's faces. That was just so beautiful to watch. Well, congratulations on completing your training as well. I mean, so like I feel like before we move on to the next speaker, I should just put it out there now. So do you plan on keeping everyone you've trained with you indefinitely, or do you at some point envision that they will start their own thing and then just be independent contractors?
I think for the short term, it's kind of a mix of both because we kind of set them up to be able to lead their own experiences and do it at a frequency that they want to do it. Of course, we'll be hosting our own events and they can come along and facilitate those. So right now it's kind of a little bit of both. In the short term, we're definitely all very happy to stay together. It was such a good group. Everybody kind of got along very well, and we like to the point where we had to catch up for the last couple of weeks, and they were like, "I really missed you guys." Like just having those in-person sessions. So definitely going to keep them as close as I can for as long as I can. But I do want it to be something that they can take on their own and kind of empower them to be able to host their own experiences. So in the long term, I see them being more of contractors, especially as we train more, like have more training programs and be able to kind of have that wide network of guides. So I do see them eventually, leaving the nest. But for now, we're all very close and very happy bunch.
Oh wow, so beautiful. Okay, so we'll move on to Anupama now, so she can tell us a bit about her project. And then if you guys have questions, you can leave them in the chat. Otherwise, we will take a round of questions once everyone has gone through their projects. So Anupama next.
Thanks, Joy. I'll share my screen now. Is it okay? Um, yeah, is it visible?
Yes, it's visible. It's
Oh,
perfect.
cool, cool. Hi everyone. Thanks IAU OAD for the opportunity and happy World Science Day. And I hope everyone's future is filled with scientific temperament and peace, at least. Yeah. And so yeah, I'm Anupama. I'm from India. And I have been in the outreach, science education outreach field for almost a decade now. And I'll give a small gist before what we are doing before we come to the project. And we started during our college, just shared interest in astronomy, physics, and we had like access to telescopes. So we used to like roam around through numerous villages, remote villages, hill areas, taking the telescopes. And over a period of time, we like understood that we are creating some change that when teachers started calling us back for programs and when this informal night gazing session, stargazing session slowly turned into like a very formal programs connected with educational institutions and all. So that's when we realized the potential and we started documenting the work a lot. Started building. By the time we had a good network, we built through the informal sessions itself, and slowly we built our first like non-governmental organization called as Open Space Foundation. It's been like almost like 8 years. And yeah, so from there, our journey kept evolving, and we began doing outreach programs. Along with outreach program, we started doing capacity building. We started integrating other domains also along with astronomy education, including gender, biology, nature conservation, nature walks, and skill development, youth leadership development aspects, and also teacher training and connecting with the public institutions, specifically government schools and colleges. And slowly, we also understood the potential, a lack of access to affordable astronomical instruments, and we understood the potential of having an R&D firm to understand, research locally fabricated telescopes. So now we have a small workshop where we are focusing on building telescopes, researching, designing, and locally fabricating them. And so the initiative, which led from very small outreach, now has evolved into a small enterprise. And all of us, all the team members, are hailing from either rural background or remote places. And we understand the requirement or the need of having equal access, affordable access to quality education, and especially STEM education, given the current social structure, how much exclusive um, science in general is. So yeah, so throughout this journey, I was the only woman who was participating, and I always wanted to bring in more women to the program. And we tried multiple programs. Of course, in the school, the outreach programs that we do for the school events, there will be for sure participants, female students who are interested. But when it comes to, and it also differ from like place to, if it is an urban area, if it is an our India is very diverse. So yeah, so there is a lot of diverse challenges also that we face when bringing in women to the space. And there are, including social economic, there are geographical barriers also. Just for example, like it's so tough to convince schools or like parents to make students, female students, to stay back for the night stargazing events. because after a time, for security reasons, for other socially constructed challenges, it's hard for bringing in women to the space. So that's when the idea of why not bring a collective and understand how what women think about the space, how we can link astronomy to as a livelihood skill came up. And that's when this sister woman astropreneurs collective idea came in. And we thought, why not create a collective just to for bringing together capacity building, entrepreneurship, and also scientific engagement. And so it's as a pathway to income generation, learning, and leadership aspects. And we started by training. We started by training our first generation, specifically first generation women graduates. We have around 20 of our participants, and half of them are from very remote places, first time coming to a city for this particular program, and half of them are from urban. And so we have a diverse group of participants bringing in diverse lived experiences. But the idea was to teach them the technical aspects, the manufacturing aspects of telescope fabrication, optics, astrotourism aspects a bit, and astronomy education, content creation aspects and all, leadership development, business management. So the IAU supported project is running for a year. Now this is the 10th month, 11th month. We started last December. And so it was not just to teach astronomy, but to turn it into a livelihood skill. And through the program, women learn to make small optical instruments, including the solar filters, to the homemade blue telescopes. And here is a picture of the telescope building workshop as part of the project that we did. And but beyond the economic aspects or all of this, I think what the project brought in was the identity. Many of the students, many of the participants that are coming is taking immense courage and guts to defy the gender issues from their hometown, from their home. And the idea of women pursuing STEM career itself is currently also questioned. So being astronomy makes it more tough for them. Why astronomy as a subject? Is it even worthy as a career? All these aspects, so identity questions, all these come as a challenge for the participants who are part of the collective. So so I think these are all the different multiple sessions that we have been doing across throughout the year, visiting the manufacturing places, the workshops, and they themselves learning about the drilling, cutting, fabrication, metal fabrication aspects. Also about astronomy, both daytime and nighttime astronomy, how to conduct it, how to present themselves, how to pitch their business idea, networking events, getting people. We try to get many resource people from the realities or real world places where they can relate, whom people with whom they can relate, to bring in ideas, to teach them about all the skill set that is necessary. And so these are the few small enterprises that they have recently started piloting. These are all in ongoing stuff where they are building content on astronomy education. They are making accessories, astronomy themed accessories, and few of the projects are on the way. And so through this journey, and I think what I have realized is when we connect it with people's lived realities, it becomes more powerful. And the way how one of the students how presented themselves or how behaved themselves in the first day of the session, and after 10 months, how confident they are in presenting themselves, their idea, it brings immense joy in seeing they are overcoming that fear, and they are ready to hold the rightful space. And a group of women who are first time in their entire life coming to a city, learning about something that people are telling not to learn, going back and forth and questioning that power. It's something beyond like any other economical, social, quantitative results. I think that's the life attitudinal change that is resulting from the current project. So yeah, so this is the telescope model designed by the participants and from the CSTEC. And I will stop with a small video throughout where we have involved our women of across ages. I hope you can hear this.
Is it supposed to be sound?
Yeah, but
No.
it's okay.
Okay.
Yes. So women of all ages, and I think that's what the message that we are trying to bring through this particular project. Yes, that's from my side. Open for questions.
That was also absolutely beautiful. Again, I think I will share the same things I shared with Cheyenne's video, that it's just the smiles on people's faces when you watch those things, when you get to when you like look at them looking through a telescope. It brings so much joy. I feel like we should be doing this more often. We don't do this often enough. I feel like we'd have a happy world if everyone just like took a moment to look through a telescope almost every other day. Yeah, no, you're doing amazing work as well. It's amazing to see what other people are doing out there. And I mean, obviously, you start small and then it expands. I think one question that I had in my mind with the model of your telescope is this something that other people on different parts of the world can replicate as well? Or does it have to be specifically done in collaboration with you guys, or are they able to like reach out and say, can I do this? Well, maybe in South Africa or in Brazil. So only two places I
We are
could think
definitely
of.
open for collaboration. Definitely open for collaboration.
So is it difficult to make your own telescope, or this is something that they could also just do as well?
No, it's basic reflective telescope, but designs and the convenience use, the stand, all these are, I mean, home-based designs.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing. So we'll move on to Wilma, who will tell us a bit more about the Rites of Passage program and OSICO in general. I mean, like Ram said that, well, he didn't actually say that. I'm just thinking of a different conversation. You guys have been at it for much longer than the OAD has been. So I feel like you guys will put us to shame if you share everything you do. So just share the bit about the project. Yeah, I'll hand over to you, Wilma.
Good day, everybody. It's very exciting to be here, and I'm very honoured to share our project, which I'm going to share some slides with you now. Okay, can you see the slides?
Yes, we can.
Lovely. Okay. So Usiko Stellenbosch has been going for, we'll be celebrating 25 years next year. And it was started by community members themselves who saw the issues with the youth and wanted to find solutions to help them. So it's essentially community-led, based in Jamestown in Stellenbosch. Now, South Africa as a whole it has one of the largest discrepancies between rich and poor in the whole world. And Stellenbosch as a town has probably got the biggest disparity in perhaps the whole world. We literally have multimillionaires on very wealthy wine farms living right next to the farm workers and the township and informal settlement dwellers who literally don't know where their next meal is coming from. So that disparity between rich and poor is very stark in the area. Yes, we have a proven history of successful solutions using wilderness therapy, education, and life skills, and mentoring by community members from the same communities as the beneficiaries that we work with. So the beneficiaries are essentially at-risk young people. We also work with rural women as well. But the biggest issues are around the risk of a school dropout. So in the Western Cape, you have some very worrying statistics of between 6 out of 10 youth are living in poverty and relying on government grants. A lot of them are in one-parent families with absent fathers. 15% live in a household where someone is a gang member. So there's lots of violence that they're surrounded by. 48% of our students don't make it to matric at age 18. And without that matric certificate, without that qualification, a lot of them will find it very difficult to find any kind of employment. They won't be able to go on to further education on the whole. And often they'll get drawn into lives of crime. So essentially, the problem that UZICO is wishing to solve is that South Africa has a lost generation. And one of the reasons why wilderness therapy is one of our strongest pillars is around the healing power of nature. So in traditional societies, traditional indigenous communities, they would have helped their young people, especially from that point, from childhood going into adulthood. They would have helped, the older generation would have helped them in that transitional point, often being taken out into the bush and learning, okay, this is what it means to be a man in our society. This is what it means to be a woman in our society. And in modern societies, for all sorts of reasons, that's really kind of fallen away. So our youth are not being guided, and often they're they have influences like social media or their own peers who are telling them things that are pulling them in all sorts of different directions. One of the big things about the communities that we work with as well is a loss of identity. During the apartheid era, people were disconnected largely from the land and disconnected from their identity. And so these are some of the elements that we're pulling back in with our wilderness therapy. Okay. So essentially our rites of passage program, which is the project that this fits in, is a 1-year program over one academic year, one South African academic year, which runs from January to December. And we partner with 9 schools, primary schools and high schools. And the rites of passage program is essentially around 3 things: identity, so really finding out who I am and where I sit in the world, and having a direction. So what is it that I want to do with my life, and what talents do I have in order to do that? And then really finding your purpose, where you what you want to do, what talents you have to offer. So as part of our rites of passage program, we have over the years used elements of of astronomy. But this year, partnering with OAD, we were able to actually bring that in as a much stronger focus area. So again, it's really about bringing in kind of indigenous knowledge and bringing in access to science. As I said before, we have a really horrendous school dropout rate. So one of the things that we're really hoping to achieve with USICO is to keep our youth in school engaged in their education and really develop a love of learning. And unfortunately, in the under-resourced schools that we're working with, science is a hard subject to teach. Two of the schools that we've worked with, they either haven't had a maths teacher, or maths hasn't been offered as a subject choice once they get to grade 9, kind of age 14 or 15, and they're making subject choices. That isn't even a subject choice for them. So astronomy, what we're able to do with that is bring that scientific element in. It's one of the most accessible ways. So in one of the things that we do on our camps is to just literally have them lying on the grass and looking up at the skies. So they don't need fancy equipment. They can just watch the constellations. We can watch the moon, and it's about, you know, really helping them to access those things. So our astronomy project, we had some very particular things that we brought in. We started up an astronomy club where we have 18 children, and we took the club, and we also took our Northern Cape high school students to the SALT telescope, to the South African Astronomical Observatory in Sutherland, where the South African Large Telescope SALT is situated. And they were able to really see the night skies. We have some beautiful night skies here in South Africa. And South Africa is also one of the kind of leaders in astronomy, which a lot of the youth that we work with aren't even aware of. So it's really instilling that identity and that pride in South Africa. We, as also part of our activities, they draw the stars, and they tell stories around it, and we bring a lot of kind of artistic elements through to it as well. We also had a community stargazing event where we brought the telescopes, and the community members were able to actually view the constellations and hear indigenous stories around our place in the cosmos. What are, you know, how our ancestors would have seen ourselves through the cosmos. A lot of the times the narrative that we have is very kind of European based. The different names for the moon cycles and the constellations. So one of the things that we've been reconnecting our beneficiaries with is more kind of South African indigenous names for the different moon cycles. And then finally, we're very excited that we are the only project based in South Africa in 2025. We're also one of the only projects in the history of OAD that is actually not run by astronomers at all, but is fully based by community members, run through an actual non-profit organisation. So we are about 45 minutes drive away from the OAD office. So we get to engage with the staff members on a regular basis, which has been a really exciting thing. So we had our board and staff visit the offices recently and have a tour around the offices, and were able to tell stories to each other. And it was quite incredible because a lot of our board and staff who are born and bred in Cape Town had never even been to the observatory. I didn't even know that it was there. So it's not only connecting our youth with astronomy, but also our staff members and our board. So I just want to leave you with one comment that one of our learners made about the project, where they said, "I never thought I would see galaxies with my own eyes. It makes me feel like anything is possible."
Thank you so much, Wilma. Thank you. You chose the picture where I'm not in it.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I forgive you. But yeah, no, it's been great hearing from all three of you and the different projects. I mean, they're all very different because you're like placed in different parts of the world, but at the same time, it's the impact that you have in each of your communities that just reminds us the power of astronomy and science in general. I think we can just generalize it to science and not just necessarily say astronomy. And it's really nice to sort of kind of see the science in action in terms of development and community development and rural development, because most of the time we just talk about it in practice, but we never actually get to engage with people who implement those things on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, it's been really lovely hearing from all three of your projects. I feel like every time I hear this, I get excited. I just feel so privileged to be part of the OAD because you guys are doing amazing work and we get to be part of your story. When you tell people, you're like, no, we started off in this organization called the IAU Office of Astronomy for Development was part of it. But we'd love to see people grow beyond the OED. I mean, Osiko's already doing that, but then, the other projects that are just getting started, we'd love to see it grow beyond just the OED funding and to get other people to support the projects as well. So it's very, 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 it's very exciting to see the work you're doing and the impact you have in your respective communities. I think the one thing that I would actually like to ask all three of you, because we're talking about World Science Day, and because we broaden it to the science in general, I think the one thing I'd like to ask is what or how can organizations like the OED and beyond the OED better support grassroots actions, because they don't do research and they don't do um, and most of the time it's never a thing of there's publications attached to it, but like how can they support grassroots actions and actually understand that it's important for them to support them and invest in them over just focusing on skills development for postgraduate students and the like. So like, what are your thoughts in terms of how can organizations like the OED and beyond better support grassroots actions, especially those that are still just trying to get started? I'll start with you, Wilma, since you're unmuted.
Thank you. That's a great question. So one of the big things for us is really making science accessible to our youth. I think first of all, the children, but as I mentioned, even our board and our staff, you can't make assumptions about their general knowledge. I mean, we were able to do sessions with our staff around astronomy as well, and there was a lot of things that they didn't even realize. So I think really understanding the communities that you're working with. In South Africa, there's a lot of trauma that's sitting there. I mean, some really horrifying statistics is that children growing up in townships in South Africa, they're exposed to 8 big traumatic events every single year. And if you think just one can send somebody over the edge in their lifetime. Sorry, I didn't mention earlier on that our project does sit in the mental health aspect of OAD's focus area. So yeah, really kind of be for the scientific community, being able to meet grassroots communities where they're at, really understanding, where people are. You know, one of the main things for our community is that, science and especially astronomy is seen as quite an elitist thing. So actually having astronomers come and talk to our schools, talk to the children, can be a huge inspiration. Our kids, they're very curious, and they get really excited when we're able to link the cosmos and the stars to things that are going on in their life, and then it becomes meaningful, rather than thinking, oh, that's something out there that has nothing to do with me. So I think really making it accessible, and the fact that OAD has got this focus around helping communities is really amazing. I think also the research aspect, the scientific community are fantastic at research, which non-profit organizations struggle with, because they're so busy actually delivering things on the ground. So that kind of collaboration could be really helpful.
Thanks, Woma. Do any of you want to add anything onto that?
I mean, I don't think that my response can top that. Like that was so much of what I was going to say, but definitely from my perspective as well. And it's so interesting to see, Wilma, from your sharing your story, and the fact that you guys have one of the largest telescopes in the Southern Hemisphere, and still people in South Africa don't even have that, I guess, base level of interest. Because I always say, well, we're a small developing island and we don't have very much money, and that. I thought that would be, it is part of the reason, but the fact that seeing a country like South Africa also going through the same issues is there's definitely a disconnect. And I do think a lot of it is to do with the accessibility. I think I'm in a very privileged position where I'm a St. Lucian woman who happens to be an astrophysicist. So when I do these kind of initiatives, people can see I'm a real person, and I was born and raised in St. Lucia, and kind of, my journey started there. So I get to kind of be the representation at the same time. But I do feel like a lot of the same misconceptions I come across, where a lot of people just think it's not, this is not something for me. It's not something St. Lucia can get involved in. Even the trainees that we had, a lot of them got into the training program, got accepted, and were still surprised that they were a part of it. And they were like, well, I just like looking up at the stars, and when I was 9, I saw this meteor shower and it was so interesting. And I'm like, these are the people that I want in these are the people that I want to reach. I don't want to find other scientists. Okay, if you have the interest and the educational background, that's great, but that's not something that's necessary. And so many of them came into it doubting themselves because they thought that they didn't have the right background or the right qualification. So I definitely think what you said about meeting communities where they're at, 100%, and showing them how they fit into the wider picture of astronomy, because I'm really glad to have done this project with the IAU OAD, where I could show them that there's a whole bubble of astrotourism and astronomy for development, and there's a whole initiative to use astronomy as a tool for development. And it's not just the really fancy and expensive missions, and all of that is very interesting, but there's so much more to astronomy and so much more in the space industry that they can get involved in, and showing them where they fit into that. So I think organizations 100% just doubling down on what Wilma said, meeting communities where they're at and showing them how they can be a part of the global astronomy industry without being scientists and researchers.
I feel like in Upama, I have to ask if you have anything to share.
I'll also add on to that. Thank you both of you for sharing such wonderful insights. Yeah, I'll also would like to answer for the question. Is it okay to answer to that question?
I was going to refer you to that question if you didn't have any insights.
Thank you, Marcos, for the question. I'll start with that and I'll come to Josh. So my vision for the future of women-led astropreneurship. So when we ever have an idea, every time when we talk about astronomy or astronomy sessions or astropreneurship, the immediate idea that comes to mind is we are going to make everyone an astronomer. But I think that's not the whole idea of what we are doing. And I don't want any of my students to be an astronomer if they don't want to be, but I want them to be an astronomy enthusiast who is an artist, who is a theater guy, who is an actor, who is a singer, but know about the universe, that understand and like it actually astronomy. I would always say this, like astronomy is a powerful clickbait that we have as an educators to lure in people into the science world. It's so interesting. It's the curiosity, the idea, the curiosity, the sparks that goes in, regardless of age, caste, creed, gender, that astronomy creates it. I think that's something that's a real educating, that's a tool, and as an educator that we can use. So for me, a woman-led astropreneurship scenario, it may not be only that women leading space startups or owning a like spaceship. I don't know, but it should be more of like the way science is done. That woman redefines how the science is done with more empathy, more inclusiveness. When women as a community also join in, it's a chance for other marginalized group also, including queer group, including other marginalized communities to join in and share the platform and share the ownership of having the sky, having this whole space. So it will be about, and I mean, of course, in 2015, AI or circular economy or all the sustainability, all this is going to merge into and come into place. So it may be about an astro guide, an astro tour guide, a woman as an astro tour guide who is running her own inn or her own astro stays, or doing an like astro tour, having a farmland based on astronomy team. Within our current project, few of our students are thinking about having a small evening pop stall for astronomy based chocolates and ice creams. So it's about all experience building. How so you can choose. Their idea is like they can choose. You can just rotate the wheel or something, and based upon your birth month, you can choose which flavor is coming to you. So it is named to each galaxy or nebula, and there are colors, and so it's all make artistry thing. Of course, there is income generation connected. They are thinking about that as a livelihood, the way they interact with people, but astronomy as a theme that is coming in. So I think that's what my mission, or that's what my vision about astropreneurship, where how science is done, how astronomy is done or understood, or being part of the everyday life. Um, it should be in our agenda or should be in our project. And as IAU OAD or any of the international organization that is doing, I think as the grassroots communities may not need direction. What they need is more of appreciation, acknowledgement, mentorship, and a chance to network and share the learnings. The learnings are very much island thing. So how to replicate it? How the model, the Women Entrepreneur Day collective model can be replicated in South Africa, in Seychelles. How we can do tours or do exchange, youth exchange programs, and understand how women is working, how other communities, island communities are working, and what are the things that we can replicate and bring achieve sustainable development goals through those things. I think that's where the role of an organization, especially IAU OAD, comes in. And the way when we connect IAU OAD names, when we put it in local, when we put the project in the local newspaper and we connect with IAU OAD, there is a huge local acknowledgement that is created. An identity is created. Oh, this project is acknowledged by from an international organization. So this may be serious. even though there may not be any change in the way we are doing it, but the acknowledgement that comes in from organization creates a local visibility. And I think that gives a lot of opportunity for us to connect with local stakeholders, including administration, district like administration, governance, and all. There were a lot of changes after the IAOAD project came in for us, specifically when we are connecting with the local newspapers, the local politicians. When we tell that this project is supported by IAOAD, there is a whole attitudinal change in which they talk to us after that. I don't know if it is good or bad, but at least for the running of the project, it's a good uh, thing to take forward. Yeah, so I think that's where the networking of the projects and showcasing more of the work, branding more of the work comes in. Yes, so that's my few cents.
Well, we appreciate and we acknowledge you here at the OAD. So we are running a bit out of over time, but I would like to give, if anyone has any urgent questions they'd like to ask, I'd like to give you guys an opportunity to ask a question. We'll just take one round of questions, but otherwise, our projects are available beyond this webinar. You can get in touch with all of them if you're interested in doing something similar in your respective regions. I'm sure they're happy to share their knowledge and their and the work that they've been doing in terms of replicating it into your respective communities. So while you think about your questions, I'll just want to get Ram to start mentally preparing to close us off. I think you've worked with these projects for the longest at the OED, except for Kevin, and you've engaged with so many projects over the years, and you've seen the different kinds of ideas that have come out of different projects. So I think your thoughts on how astronomy is being used for development, but also just science in general is being used for peace and development, your insights and your thoughts might bring some sort of it might conclude the session in a great way because you've been part of this project for a very long time. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. Otherwise, you can also just leave it in the chat. But ideally, the hand raising would go by much faster, so we can end the session soon. I don't see any hands. While we give people time to think about whether or not they want to ask a question, Anne actually wants to congratulate all of you for your wonderful achievements and thank you for sharing your inspiring success stories. So Anne works with the IAU itself. So if you do want to share some of your stories directly with the IAU, I'm gonna put Anne on the deep end here. You can just like email her like, hey Anne, this is the amazing work we've been doing. Can you share with the IAU community? I'm sure she'd be happy to do that and organize something like that. But yeah, she says that you guys are doing amazing work and it's very inspiring. So yeah, I still don't see any hands. So Ram, maybe you can wrap it up.
Joy, there's a question from Mulugeta in the chat. I don't know if you
Is
saw
there
it.
another
It's
one?
towards the
No, no, no.
top.
No. Anupama answered that already. So she started with that question before she then just gave
Yeah.
general comments on the question that
Okay.
was asked. Yeah.
Okay. If there are no other questions, well, thank you to everyone who joined today. Well, first of all, thank you to the three panelists. So this was put together at the very last minute as we realized that we have an important day today, World Science Day for Peace and Development. And thanks to those of you who took time out of your Monday morning, afternoon, evening to join us. We did record everything on YouTube, and I think we'll try and edit it and put out some clips over the next few days as well. So, like Joy said, we've been working with people from all around the world for quite a few years now, and we always get asked the question, why astronomy for development? Sometimes people don't see the connection. You have to work hard to convince them. But more and more, I think over the years, as we ourselves have better understood the potential of astronomy, um, we have a much better answer, I feel, when we want to give practical examples of astronomy in action, of science in action. I don't know of many other scientific fields who actually work at the grassroots level, especially basic sciences. There's always applied sciences, but when you think of basic sciences, I don't know of many other examples. So at least for now, astronomy, I think, is sort of unique, and it has always been in a unique position given the general curiosity that people have about astronomy, about the night sky, and about our place in the universe. So the three of you, your projects have really taken full advantage of astronomy's place, I think, in human culture, in our global psyche, and tried to translate that into some benefits for people around the world. And if we lots of people, lots of scientists and politicians talk about, well, mostly scientists, not politicians, talk about creating people that understand science and technology, so that, if we are to progress as a society, we need to understand and embrace science and technology. I'm sure in your countries you would have seen um, surveys, national surveys coming out that show the decline in the interest among people for science, even though people love technology. We all love the latest gadgets and uh, all the tech stuff, but we don't really care for the science that comes with it, because we don't see the point of science. We don't see the relationship to society of science. We don't see the everyday relevance of science. It's sort of all nicely hidden away behind really cool technology. Mostly unintentional, but sometimes intentional as well, because for people to get influence, to be swayed, I think you have to sort of strip away their ability to think critically, to apply a scientific process to things. So all in all, you can say that a lot of challenges in society are connected to the disconnect of science to people. So this is actually really, really impressive in the grand scheme of things. If you think about it, where people don't even think about science, you're actually applying science to make their lives better. And I think this is one of the surest ways of actually getting people to care about science, to embrace science, like I said, and to reconnect science and make it part of their own identities.
Thank you so much, Ram. I kept going back and forth, like losing internet connection, but I am here to say thank you, everyone, for joining us. And I feel like we should do this often, because we don't get enough time to hear from our projects, Ram. This is a you problem, but you should organize this more often, where we get to hear from our projects, because that once a year thing where all of them have to share their progress is not on. But yeah, otherwise, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your time with us. I would like to end off by wishing you all a wonderful World Science Day for Peace and Development, and may we continue using action for change. I mean, science for change. I'm just so tired. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Good to
you.
Thank
see you all.
you. Bye bye.
Bye.